Team Angel Wolf is a Dubai family story that has inspired thousands over the last few years. Nick Watson joins us to explain how it all started and share some of the special stories that have happened so far. Welcome to Dubai Works, a business podcast about the innovators, the products, the services, and trending topics, loving Dubai's take on the business stories that matter. My name is Richard Fitzgerald. I'm the founder of Augustus Media, publishers of Lovin Dubai, Lovin Saudi, and Smashy TV. Each week, we'll be interviewing the dynamic business leaders of Dubai. Nick,
yes.
Welcome to Dubai Works.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you on and to chat more about Team Angel Wolf. So for those who haven't been inspired by your journey so far, how do you introduce Team Angel Wolf?
Well, look, I think we've got to go back about 5 years. Well, actually, no, we have to go back a lot longer, actually. Let's go back to Rio at 6 months. So up to that date, we thought everything was fine with Rio. And one day we were happy moment, bathing Rio, so 6-month-old little baby. And I was in the bath, he was laid on my chest, and all of a sudden he went blue, completely floppy, and stopped breathing. And fell into this unconscious state. Of course, we panicked. We jumped out to the bath and we rushed down to the hospital. And after about 7 minutes, he came out this first episode. And but by the time we got to the hospital, the doctor looked at him, checked him over, and said, "Looks okay," and sent us home. Of course, we were in shock. We had no idea what had just happened, and that was the first of his seizures. The next day, he had another one. 2 days later, he had another one. And from then on, every seizure was lasting about 7 minutes. So obviously we were timing them, so obviously to tell the doctor. And we realised obviously something wasn't right. And we started to see specialists. And it took us on a journey. It took us about 4.5 years. And within those 4.5 years, we travelled not only here regionally. We ever spent a lot of time back in the UK, Great Ormond Street. And we found... we then saw one great specialist that diagnosed Rio with a part of a chromosome missing. So we're all made up of just over 22 pairs of chromosomes, and on chromosome 1, Rio had a bit that was deleted. And that led us to kind of finding out his condition. His condition is super rare, so it's named after the part of the part of the chromosome that's missing. So it's called 1q44 deletion, which leads to all the difficulties that he still has today. So the seizures are still there, but very different. They're not as kind of full blown as they are. He goes into, a little bit, what's the right word? He just goes into a dazed phase, and you can see he starts to dribble a little bit, but they don't last too long, and they're not kind of an unconscious state.
Yeah.
Severe learning disability, so most things are a challenge for him, just learning skills in general. Even balance and stability is still hard for him. I took him for a walk this morning as we were walking up the steps. I still got to grab his hand, as he finds his balance.
Okay.
And he's still in nappy, so you can imagine life is a little bit of a challenge. And then...
How old is Rio now?
Rio's 16 now. But it led to about 5 years ago. I had a little bit of a health scare myself, and as I came out of hospital, triathlon, my goal was to go back to Hawaii and do Kona and go back to the World Championships, because I was there in 2003. Actually, the story, quite simply, Rio, my wife was pregnant with Rio, and I always remember turning around to her and saying, "Look, one day I want to come back with my son and daughter."
Amazing.
And one day we will. And obviously the story unfolded. But as I came out of hospital, they found a tumour in my colon, which was a bit life-changing. So for me, it was like, okay, I want to go back, I want to get heavily back into triathlon. I wasn't doing so much, and I want to go back to Hawaii. So I started training, obviously you have to qualify, so I needed to qualify to do another race. I planned Barcelona 4 months away. So I'd signed up for it, and then training and everything didn't go to plan. And as life gets in the way, living here.
And that would have been summertime. I think Barcelona is September.
It is September, so we were going into the summer, and I wasn't getting the hours in. And full distances, you need to put a lot of hours in, 25 plus hours a week at least. And then my wife just turned around to me one day and said, "Look, have you ever thought about racing with Rio?" And I was like, "Wow, typical male. How am I going to do that? I need, how am I going to do it? I need obviously a kayak to pull him, and then we need probably a specialized bike and a push jet." So then 5 years ago, we did our first race. It was down on the Palm Dubai International Triathlon. So we swam 1.9 kilometers swim, 90k bike and 21k run. And as we crossed the finish line, this little boy had this huge smile, and he loved it. He loved it. He loved every moment.
You knew from then that this was something that he...
Look, almost. To be honest, it was the second race, and the second race, I still love this story. This story is the best. We were out. We were doing the same distance, so it was called Challenge Dubai.
Yeah.
And the day of the race, the weather was terrible. Big sandstorms. We get down to the beach and big rolling waves. So we go into the swim, 1.9k, and it was a tough old swim. We did get out of the water, get on the bike, and just give you some ideas. Rio at the time probably weighed just under 30 kilos. My bike weighed about 35 kilos. So I was pushing about 65, 70 kilos at the time. But in a sandstorm, it's not easy. And Rio's not very aerodynamic, sits on the chair in the bike, legs open. So life was a little bit tough, but we get on the bike, 60k in, we've got about 30k left, and we've been battered by the wind. And it was the first time that I start thinking, obviously, not thinking about me anymore, and start thinking about Rio.
Is he okay?
12.
Yeah.
Is he okay? He sat on this bike for the last 2+ hours. He's just been in rough waters in a kayak. And obviously the focus now comes on him. And there's a real special moment. He turns around on the bike, looks at me, and I'm thinking he's probably going to go, Dad, halas, finish. Let's do another sport. And he just turns around and just says, Dada, I love you.
Wow.
And that was it. And I just realized he loves this, in all the conditions and all his difficulties. And we've probably found something unique together. We finished the bike, get on the run, and as we crossed the finish line, he's still smiling. And since then we haven't stopped racing.
Well, it's incredible. I've been lucky enough to see you on many courses, and the community, as many people say about Dubai in many aspects, but the community that you have inspired around sporting is amazing. But actually at the core of that is a boy who's found something he loves.
100%.
And you see that almost every time, don't you? He always wants to race again as soon as you finish, even though you might be exhausted.
Look, we will generally, most mornings when we race, the timings, they start early. So we're normally up at, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning to get to a race, to get to a venue, to get set up. I will not traditionally go in and race, wake up Rio. So I'll go into his room and, Rio, race. And he sits bolt upright. First thing he says to me is, Dada, race. So he's like happy. So we go off and race. When we come back, we're exhausted. We've been up early, whatever the race is, and we're kind of chilling out on that day, Friday or Saturday. And he will throughout the afternoon just go, Dad, race. Oh, Rio, we just finished like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
So he loves it. And I think for all his difficulties, there's a huge sensory stimulation when we're out there. So you can imagine when he's in the kayak, obviously there's not only me pulling him, there's other swimmers about, and there's the splashing of water. So I think he thoroughly enjoys that. And then obviously on the bike, same thing, we're going quite fast, there's other cyclists around, and the same thing on the run. So he's super content. So for someone that's done triathlon from the age of 16, to find obviously in my son something that he loves now, and like you said, when he's out, he's always smiling. Everyone comes over and it's like, all you see is Rio smiling. So he's super content, and like any father in life, all you want is your children to be happy, and we found his thing.
That's amazing. And so Team Angel Wolf, as well as all the races you do,
yes,
it's almost a way of life for you and your family.
Yes.
How has that evolved in Dubai, and how's that been possible in Dubai? Is it a charity? Is it a club?
Yeah. Well, look, we started racing 5 years ago, and then we kind of saw, like you said earlier, what an impact it was having on the community. We'd had a bit of a whirlwind with running our own business. Unfortunately, we just lost the business, and we were a little bit on our knees, and we weren't sure what to do next. And we'd obviously seen the impact of racing and the community, and our background was always health and fitness. So we started to see how inspiring it was, our story, how it was also inspiring other people to get fit, to get healthy, and also most importantly, it was spreading awareness about children or people with determination. And we were like, wow, this is quite powerful. So we went to the Community Development Authority, and we set ourselves up initially as a social club, as a non-profit organisation. And that's what we still are today. The format slightly changed, so now we are in a foundation, so it's slightly different than a foundation. My wife's the founder, I'm the general manager, we have a board of trustees. But it allows us to do what we do, and all the activities that we do within the community are obviously been approved by the Community Development Authority.
Wow.
And our goal is very simple: to inspire people by not only to get fit, to get healthy by our story, but also, most importantly, spread awareness about these beautiful kids. And that's what we've been doing for the last, just about to renew my license in the last 3 years, officially with the Community Development Authority, who have been absolutely fantastic with what we do.
And they, not only them, but many other people, how have the other events companies and people kind of worked with you to help spread this message and the different community things that you do?
Well, look, the only way we can exist as a non-profit organisation is we actually need corporate sponsorship. You mentioned the word charity. We're not a charity. There's recognised charities here within the UAE. So
like Dubai Cares and
exactly. Yeah. So we can't do any fundraising. We can't receive any donations. We can if we get relevant permissions, but it has to be something that's relevant to what Team Angel Wolf needs at the time. So the only way we can actually exist is through corporate sponsorship. So you'll see we have brands that come on board that support us on an annual basis. And obviously we display the logo with his big thank yous and everything that we do. And without them, we can't exist. And also as a non-profit, it's the only way that we can actually pay ourselves a salary, because myself and my wife do this full time. It's just the two of us. But the way the format as a non-profit, I'm the general manager, hence I can receive a salary. So that salary basically puts food on our table and helps myself and my wife do what we do.
And they also support you with logistics like transport and different things that you need to run.
Yeah, look, and we're trying to be smart and even going forward. So even we have Toyota on board, so Alpha Tame have been absolutely fantastic with us. So we have a truck from them and they've built as a trailer. So all our kit goes in a trailer, so it allows us to get to events. So also with our sponsors as well, especially as we're going forward, we're trying to look for other partners as well. I like the word partners rather than sponsors, that could help us, so if we were doing races locally in the region, in Abu Dhabi, etc., or even abroad internationally, which is a goal for us, is to have a hospitality partner on board as well. So yeah, we're also, we want to make sure that what we do helps us as well in regards to who we partner with.
Yeah, and you have community events that are
Yes.
open to everyone, like swims and runs and things. How does that work, and how do people get involved?
Well, look, obviously our social media is the platform to obviously find out what we're doing. The two priority events that we do is something called Beach Blast, which we're very fortunate the Fairmont on the Palm have been supporting us for the last for about the last 3 years. So I have 5 floating wheelchairs, which are actually magical. So we do a program called Beach Blast. We go to the schools, so I get mainstream kids to come down, and then we go out to the community with people with determination. So we go to the centres and we go to families and we say, look, we generally, every time we do the session, which is bi-weekly, it's on a Wednesday, we'd invite about 5 to 10 children down, and then we invite about 20 plus children from the school. The purpose of the program is all about inclusion. And it's really, the kids come down, and obviously sometimes there's children in a wheelchair. So all of a sudden they have to physically help them out of their wheelchair into one of our floating wheelchairs, and then we just go off on the beach and play. I never brief the kids on the few safety elements in the water, and it's absolutely magical. So you get the children that come, and the first time, some of them we've had in the past that have never met someone with disability, so they're never sure what to do. But an hour later, they are best friends. The word disability, the word dis is all gone, and they're all friends and clapping and singing. And it's absolutely magical. So that's one key event. The other one's called Together We Can. So I have 5 running chairs where we do a community event currently at Sustainable City, but we'd like to come down to Kite Beach, which we're working on at the moment. So we take our chairs down, and exactly the same thing. These programs are free, by the way. We ask anyone to come along. Obviously, there's children there with disabilities, and again, it's about families coming, bringing their children. Kids can come on scooters. It really doesn't matter. So it's all about including people with disabilities into the community and feel that they are part of this fantastic city.
And His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince, actually ran with you guys as well, or how did that happen?
Look, we've been super fortunate over the years that we've been in some events where he's also been present.
Is that part of the fitness challenge or in general?
Yeah, it was actually a couple of years ago. Tia was actually before Dubai Fitness Challenge, they had a
Tia
junior triathlon. So Tia's my daughter.
Is the wolf,
Is
little
the
wolf.
little wolf.
Yeah.
So Rio's our angel, so hence
Okay.
Team Angel Wolf. So
Yeah.
Tia's now, she's 13. And about 3 years ago, there was a children's junior triathlon down on Kai Beach. So I went down. Tia, for one of her first time, was actually racing with Rio. So she did what I do.
Yeah.
So she swims, pulling Rio in a kayak. Slightly different setup on the bike. So she cycles a normal road bike, pulling the pushchair, which is attached to the back of the bike, and then she ran pushing Rio afterwards. The occasion was she was there, and also because they'd done all different races, a different age group, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan came down with his little nephew stroke friend, and His Highness watched him race, but was before Tia. And as His Highness crossed the finish line, the opportunity, I just thought, look, I have to go and ask. And I just said, look, I just went over to His Highness and said, look, my daughter is going to be racing with Rio in about the next 20 minutes. If you're free, please come down and watch. And he did. He came down and watched, but he more than watched. He filmed it. And I think that later afternoon, he stuck a little video up on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think it's had like 1.8 million views.
Yeah. Wow.
I think 1 million views have been me. And that was the start of obviously this, I would say, this little bit of a relationship. And then the nice thing is, every time we've generally raced, if we've been at the start and His Highness is there, it's magical. He will always come over and say hello. And the great part, he comes over and says hello to Rio before me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's inclusion for me.
Amazing.
And that's obviously been where we are today. Amazing.
And you've done so many, what sort of numbers and world records, like, because I know you keep track of this, but I can't even keep up.
We raced yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was our 210th race.
Okay.
In 5 years.
Okay.
We've covered, because I did the maths the other day, because we're closing the year, 6,200 kilometres that Rio has swam, biked, run over the last 5 years. So that's anything from swimming races, triathlon races, running races, etc., even obstacle races.
Yeah.
So we do like Spartan and stuff. So we carry Rio, a team of 8, on a stretcher. So we take him around the course, and any obstacles, I've got a special strap, or I strap him to my back and we climb up things.
Yeah.
So we've done just over 6,000 K. And just give you an idea, that's like the equivalent distance from Dubai to Belfast or Hong Kong. That's how far he's gone over the last few years. And this year, we've just closed now. This was our 21st race yesterday since September.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you keep going physically? Like, you must be so conditioned for that many races. Have you not got injured, fatigued?
I have. Few things, just niggly things.
Yeah.
I think that's more age than anything else. But you know what? My background's always been health and fitness, and one thing I've always learned is listen to your body. Throughout the week, I try and recover as much as possible. I do the odd training, but I'll be honest with you, my racing at the weekend, we'll generally do 1 or 2 races at different distances. I kind of treat that as training stroke racing, and then I'm recovering through the week. So my focus is always staying injury free. I look at the race schedule, so you'll see in our schedule, I'm building always up to something. So we did Abu Dhabi Marathon 10 days ago.
Yeah.
So I was building up towards that. We've got kind of a quiet period now, and then I'm naturally now planning the next 4 months, the next rest of the season after the new year, to see what those races will be. But yeah, we'll throw in something a little bit hard, a little bit challenging as well. So yeah, it keeps me ticking over. Keeps
very impressive.
Me younger.
It's inspiring for many people, including me. Thanks a lot, Nick, for coming in.
Pleasure.
Really good to talk to you, and we'll continue to follow Team Angel Wolf in 2020.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Dubai Works. There's more on this episode on lovindubai.com, and also please do follow our other podcasts, The Lovin Daily Live and The Lovin Show.